Good evening.
Hello.
I'm very proud to have been invited along by you today to give you a short glimpse into what MADaboutART has been about in the past, the wonderful new methods that we've created to enable young people to be courageous and to become their own heroes, and also about where we would like to be going in the future with some projects. I'm supposed to do this sometime. Now, when I started MADaboutART in 2001, the whole idea was to try and fight HIV and AIDS through programs which would allow young people to be able to overcome stigma and discrimination. The main methods that I wanted to use was narrative art. So, what we tried to do in 2001, because we could see what was happening in the UK, effectively people were saying that the HIV crisis was over. The clinics were clearing and everything was seemingly under control. But 2001 in the developing countries was a very different thing, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, where men and women and children, according to the WHO, were dying at a rate of 1,000 per day. At that time, the options for treatment were very limited and there were very few choices. It was a time when the silence really was the killer, and South Africa was the highest levels of HIV per population and yet remained most silent. So we realised that there were problems. The issue was that we wanted to find ways in which we could solve some of them. We knew that we couldn't save the world. We knew, and I knew, that after my own diagnosis of HIV in 1992, that one of the things that we could work on was mobilising a group of people so that they could create a community response. And in that way we saw how those communities could change the treatment outlook and change the life outcomes of people across the world. So why did I choose art? Well, it allows us to express ourselves and then to see how the pictures that we create can affect the lives of other people. And in that way it provides us with a mask for anonymity, but at the same time we get to share enough of ourselves in order to create a greater understanding. It is also a very practical, a very flexible medium to work in, and for example here it can work on a global level where we made this thing called the Rainbow of Hope, and it has travelled across 3 continents, helping people to have a better understanding of what HIV and AIDS means to young people. The other thing, working locally, we've managed to do a project called the 1,000 Faces Project. We have in total now nearly 3,500 pieces of art in the archive. But in this project, hundreds of community people would walk along various sponsored walks over 5 kilometres. We call them walk and talks. The idea is that the art stimulates the conversation en route. And in that way, we get an integrated community response. Because if a project has some integrity of the methods it's using, the chances are it's likely to be more successful. So in South Africa today, we're dealing with girls which are 4 times more likely to get infected from HIV than their male counterparts. Now, South African society expects a great deal from women, but unfortunately it has some of the highest some of the highest levels of domestic abuse, but also the highest rates of rape in the world. It's a powerful desire for a young person to want to belong to something, to be somebody special and to be part of the life, and this is part of the lives of teenagers everywhere. But when poverty makes everything look the same, to be different is actually a powerful inducement This is Neckis, where we work. So there are many factors that lead girls to find sugar daddies, manipulators, men that will change gifts for sexual favours. And HIV especially works hard on young bodies. And in our area, it's not unusual for girls to be active sexually by the age of 11. So Taking Back the Power is a project stronger for having been initiated by two of our great volunteers who have overcome their own disabilities to become strong women that can lead and create their own projects. This is Bonnie and Beatty. The project is a simple one. It always works on friendships and safe spaces and knowledge. But they earn some money making the berries, which we then can use our platform of our township tourism programs to be able to sell crafts and arts to the visitors that we have to the centre. So it's costing just £49 for each of these girls to participate in the programme. And with the power that they get from this, the silence is broken. Part of the cycle of poverty and the inducement is broken. So the tools that we've developed, particularly hero booking, are something that will allow these young people to be able to become heroes. We are an evaluated project which has won various awards, and we've got many projects that we could talk about tonight. Hero booking, the Rainbow of Hope, the Pizza of Peace. Many of our young people have travelled around the world and represented us with the UN and UNICEF, and it's important that they become the leaders of our future. Sorry, thank you.